Well, in fourth form, we're looking for solving quadratics by factorization method, all right, by factorizing. And we're given 3 problems today, so let's try to see how much we can cover. The first one says, given 2x squared minus 18 is equal to 0. So, first things first, we know it's a quadratic. We see that there's something in common, and that something is 2. Because 2 can go into 2x squared and 2 can go into negative 18. So we say, alright, 2, open bracket. I will need to go to my exponent. So you can see how to type this out. X squared. In fact, let me show you the division so it makes life easier. So let me go there. The entire process. So we're going to have 2. Put my exponent in, 2x squared over 2 minus, let me put the fraction again, 18 over 2, shucks, equals 0. So that's my first step, which will give me 2 open brackets, x squared minus 9, close bracket, equals 0. Now notice that the x squared minus 9 is what we call a difference of squares. So we're going to be using difference of squares. Alright, so using the difference of squares, we're going to break up that x squared minus 9. So 2 open brackets x plus 3 x minus 3 equals 0. Now, if I divide both sides by 2, it's not going to really affect the result because of the coefficient. But now we're going to need to find the values for x. So we say using zero factor theorem, right? And zero factor theorem states that the only way for you to get an answer with a 0 is if either the first term, which in this case is the x plus 3 equals 0, or the x minus 3 equals 0. That's the only way for us to get a result. So if x plus 3 equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0, then I must do the opposite. So I will say for the first part, x plus 3, if I must minus 3 from both sides, so equals 0 minus 3, or I will say x minus 3, and the opposite of minus 3 is to add 3, equals 0 plus 3. Then, obviously, the plus 3 and the minus 3 will cancel, so hence giving me x will be equal to negative 3, or x is equal to positive 3 as my result. So therefore, x is negative 3 or 3. And that gives us the first answer there. Alright, for the first question. Okay, let's look at the second one. In the second one, we are given 5x squared minus 8x equals 0. Now, in a case like this, there is nothing in common. So, numerically, so the coefficients have nothing in common, but they do have x in common. So I can take out an x, open bracket. So I'll see 5 put my exponent for the x squared. 5x squared over the x minus, I'll put a fraction, 8x over the x equals 0. So that's my first step, which will give me x, open bracket, 5x minus 8 equals 0. Again, now I need to find the values of x. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to copy this, because to solve for x, you'll always have to use the zero factor theorem. So, zero factor theorem. So that will give me that either x is equal to 0 or 5x minus 8 is equal to 0. Which means that I will have to add 8 to both sides and then divide by 5. Alright? So x will equal to 0 or 5x will equal the positive 8, because I add 8. Let me write that down here. Add 8 to both sides. And here then I will have to divide both sides by 5. So I will have x is equal to 0 or x is equal to, I'll have to put the fraction, and we keep it as the fraction 8 fifths. 8 at the numerator, 5 as the denominator. And then of course, I must put my therefore. So, therefore, x is either 0 or 8 fifths. And that's my answer for my second question. Now, the third one, let me bring this up a bit. For the third one, we have, given that x squared plus x minus 12 is equal to 0, there is nothing in common. It's a trinomial, or it's a quadratic as we call it, so we need to factorize. And this time we're going to factorize by inspection method, since we are not going to be doing the lengthier method. So we will need 2 brackets. Okay, so let's start with the first bracket. There's going to be one bracket there, and there's going to be another bracket there. It will equal 0. So for the first bracket, how do we get x squared? Well, x in the first one and x in the second one. How do we get 12? Well, there you can do 3 times 4, 3 and 4, which is what can give you the 1. But remember, it's a negative 12. So when the last one is negative, the question is the larger one is. And in this case, the middle is positive. So the larger one, which is the 4, will be positive, and the smaller one will be a negative. So now we have factorized by inspection. So we're going to use our zero factor theorem now. So we'll say x minus 3 is equal to 0, or the x plus 4 is equal to 0. So I will transpose. So x will be equal to 3, because the opposite of a negative 3 is positive 3, or x is equal to negative 4. Negative 4. Alright? So we'll say therefore x is 3 or negative 4. And that's how we solve by factorization. Thank you.